Hey everyone, welcome to Crumb's game review channel, and today we're looking at Blueprints. But I wanted to talk about Blueprints. It's a game that's like a nice blend of roguelite and puzzles, so let's find out what's happening. The game revolves around you randomly drawing blueprints from a draft pool in order to fill up these slots in a house to get to the 46th room. You're tasked with finding the 46th room by your great uncle. If we get there, we inherit the estate. It's fantastic. It's a great concept. It's a great plan. We're promised a story of intrigue with blackmail and kidnappings, missing people. It's a nice standard fare for when it comes to a puzzle game. There's a few problems though with these two genres blending together, right? Is that RNG, is like a big part of this game. It pads the runtime. I've been playing for about 40 something hours now. Oftentimes, your run will just end, right? Because you can't get any further. You'll draft a room that you don't like, you'll run into an end stop, but you'll run out of resources. These include keys and gems. Money not so much, because there are permanent upgrades. At the end of the day, everything that you have resets, right? So you've got all these resources, items, keys, gems, and money, right? And for the most part, especially when you're first starting the game, all of this resets, right? Now, at the start of the game, this isn't a bad thing, because there's so many puzzles and there's so many goals that almost every run for the first, I would say, 15 runs, you're probably discovering stuff. You're learning to get used to the mechanics, you're finding rooms, maybe really unusual rooms, and for every new room you draft, there's like an extra piece of the puzzle added. So, for the first 20 or so runs, for the first 15 definitely everything's new, you're having a great time, but towards the 20 to 40 run mark, you're really just a victim to the RNG, because oftentimes you'll think that you want to solve a puzzle, but you're limited by what rooms you draft. And a little bit of a mild spoiler, but you can manipulate the draft pool, but these are late game items or late game rooms or late game stuff that allow you to do this. So you're really at the mercy, especially if you're trying to get the 46th room for the first time. You're really at the mercy of the game giving you a good run. And the strategy involved can be quite fun and a reason to keep playing, especially if you haven't reached 46, because if you don't know, reaching the 46th room is kind of the tutorial, which is absolutely mad because I'm not a smart person and it took me like 46 days to reach the room. Well, most of the time is you don't really want the game to end. You think the 46th room, that's where the game's going to end probably, right? That's a bit of a spoiler, but the problem is that there's so much other stuff to do, and some stuff is linked to other stuff, and there's shortcuts and passageways, and you're not always properly rewarded. There'll maybe be about 5 to 10 runs where you won't make any meaningful progress. Everything will reset. Any items that you needed, let's say you need an item for a certain thing, well, bad luck, it's not showing up this run. Good luck next time, and you just wasted 40 minutes. You've got no extra permanent upgrades to help you for the next run. It's just a waste of time. The game does not respect your time, but if you've got the time, the game is quite fun. The game, if you can break through the midpoint, you can have a lot of fun. Let's talk about the puzzles. The puzzles are almost in the background for the first half of the game, right? It really feels more like a roguelite at the start. I mean, there's so many puzzles, but you're never really getting to the puzzle part because the RNG won't let you. The drafting part is like the main thing that consumes most of the game for the vast majority of the opening acts. But then once you break through that, puzzles become the main part of the game, and the RNG roguelike becomes the back burner, and that kind of hurts the game because it means that you're playing the game for a very long period of time just trying to get one puzzle done. And that's one of the pieces of advice a lot of people say when you go into this game is don't try to get a puzzle done. Like, if you need to get... There's parts of this game where you need to get 2 rooms to line up. And that's one of the easier things to do. And it can take a long time, especially if you're not lucky. If the gods have just said, no, today you're not getting these rooms together. And so you gotta take it as you will. You need to have a good story at least to prop it up. And story is very subjective. I'm almost up on the 100 days, 100 runs on this building, right? Let's just talk about the story. On a nutshell, the developers of this game have made a whole world of lore and stuff that's happening in kingdoms. The stuff that's happening right now spans the last 10 years, but the history goes back hundreds of years. Oftentimes you'll find clues that you're just like, oh, well, was this now or was this then? Luckily they put the dates on things so you can kind of see, but piecing it together you think, oh, this is going to be one crazy ass tale, and going to be enthralled. But the problem is, it's mostly boring. On the surface you say, oh, you got a game about blackmail and kidnappings and disappearing and people getting smuggled and all this stuff and war and all that stuff. You think this game is going to be so interesting, but the problem is that sometimes it just isn't, especially when you're drip feeding the audience the information and out of order, and you have to piece it together yourself. And some of the later puzzles in the game require you to know this information, and the problem with this game is it has so much information that sitting down and reading everything, there's like full-on books that are like 10 pages long, and the problem is you never know what's useful and what isn't, and the conversation, the history isn't actually that interesting, and they put a lot of grandiose into the history. There's cinematics, right, with the fortune-telling machine, and with I think the narrator, who I won't spoil. And the problem is it doesn't really matter really at all. Like, if you want to solve later puzzles, like the big complex puzzles, then yeah, definitely you want to dive into it if you want. But I just found it incredibly boring. You know, at the start it was okay. It was a bit of intrigue, like, oh, this guy's getting blackmailed. Let's figure out who's doing it. When you find out who it is, you're just kind of like, okay. I was really hoping, considering the fantastical nature of this mansion, or you know, this manor, that it was also going to be fantastical, which it isn't, right? Because you've got a building which rooms shift every day. You have to remake the house every day. And you think to yourself, okay, there's probably some excellent lore in here. We might get some time travel. We might get some magic. You know, who knows what we're going to get. And to be quite fair, they don't even address it. In my opinion, they don't really address. There's a couple of times where they address it, I think. But for the most part, no. Like, the story is really just whatever. Maybe it'll click for some people, it didn't quite click for me. But, like, the presentation of it, what I will say is the presentation of the story is great. Now, let's talk about the presentation of the game itself. This game looks fantastic. It's wonderful. You walk around. They, even conceptually on a design point of view, like when you draft buildings in this house, it will reflect on the outside. You can look out windows. You can looking at stuff. It's absolutely beautiful. Sometimes you'll like find an area that you've not came in contact with before, and it will blow you away, and you think to yourself, man, this game is so deep. But sometimes it isn't. Sometimes you'll be like, oh, I need to solve this puzzle. Spend about 5 hours solving the puzzle for it to basically lead you to not quite a dead end. Sometimes there's shortcuts, and you're like, okay, cool. In terms of presentation, how the game looks, how stylized, how the items in the world look, it's beautiful. Absolutely beautiful. It's great. Especially all these little areas are just so lovingly crafted, I think, is a testament to this game. It definitely deserves high marks for that. I definitely think that they've done a real great job. A lot of games have a hard time finding their own unique style. I'd say this is quite almost like Firewatch, which is a good thing. it could be timeless. I definitely think that this game looks timeless. The style they've gone for is a great boon to this game. It really is. It looks beautiful. But let's talk about something else. Let's talk about the sound. The sound in this game is, quite frankly, amazing. It's very subtle, which is a good thing. You, depending on what area of the house you're in, or outside the house, the music that plays really evokes emotion, and it's very immersive. Um, and it really draws you in. There's been so many times where you do something in the game, and the game is responsive in terms of music. And that music, quite a lot of the times, evokes emotion, which is great. That's exactly what you want. And in a puzzle game, you want the music to add to the atmosphere, and the atmosphere is absolutely perfect. The top marks has to go towards the soundtrack. It is just superb in every single way. I don't have a bad thing to say about it. In terms of length, the game is long. With most of the content, you're going to be spending hours just trying to get the right rooms, which is going to pad the runtime by 20 hours. If you're trying to see everything, trying to do everything, that's about 40 hours. And more than half of that is going to be you drafting rooms and making no meaningful progress. So there's a lot of content here, but it's artificially made more by the countless runs that you'll do that will end in end stops and just no meaningful progress. Overall though, I've said a lot of like really bad negative points about the game in terms of its RNG, but it is a great game. I have been enthralled. Even sometimes when I'm annoyed at the RNG, I'll turn it off, but then I'll be thinking about the game and I'll be like, oh, I want to get back in there. And I'll reopen it up and spend another 5 hours doing the exact same thing. I think even when you complete the puzzles, once that frustration of not getting what you want, once you've got the puzzles out of the way, it's actually quite chill just to play the game and enjoy it as it is, as a roguelike, and just make your own objectives. In terms of other content, once you've beaten the game, once you've got to the room 46, there's other modes as well. And so there is a lot of content, and there's a lot going on for the game, and there's a lot of things the game does well in terms of atmosphere, in terms of, puzzles. Especially, I think there's definitely a community of people that really love complex puzzles, and there's that as well. That is in this game too. So, I think it's really subjective. I think that certain people will get a lot out of this game, some people won't. Some people will get too frustrated, and then there's some people that love puzzles that will be frustrated at this game not letting them do puzzles when they want to do puzzles, and then there'll be some people that want like the roguelite more, and they'll be annoyed that they keep bashing their heads against complex puzzles. But if you look past a lot of these flaws, what you've got here is one of the best games of its genre. If you want to say, oh, what great puzzle games have you played? Well, definitely you're going to think of Blueprints. That's one of the things. Once you complete the game, if someone asked you, what's your favourite puzzle game? I dare say Blueprints is probably going to be in there. And if you want to say, what's one of your favourite roguelikes? It might be in the top 10. It could be because of just the nature of the game. It's not super punishing. It's just a lot of... You need a lot of... It's really just a test of patience. So I rank this game, a good 85 out of 100. I really enjoyed my time with it. All my frustrations I sort of taken out in this video, but overall, it's so good, and it's one of those games, kind of like Outer Wilds. You kind of have to enjoy it for the first time. That's the problem with puzzle games, though. You can only enjoy it once. So enjoy it. That's it for me today. Thank you guys for watching. Catch you again next time when I look at another game. All the best. Have a good one.